The Watership Down Podcast is intended for listeners who are familiar with the plot. There will be spoilers. This episode is scripted, narrated, recorded and edited by Newell Fisher. Hello, and welcome to the Watership Down Podcast, episode 226, in which we'll be going through chapter 17 of the graphic novel, Far Afield. First, though, some burrow keeping. Despite having a calendar reminder, I managed to forget Richard Adams' birthday in the last episode. Mr. Adams' birthday was originally recorded as being on May 9th, 1920, but this seems to have been revised to May 10th. I'm not sure why. Perhaps he was born in the early hours. In any case, happy 106th birthday, Richard Adams. If only he was still with us. On the subject of wanting people to still be with us, unbelievably, it was 2 years ago, today, the 20th of May 2026, that my father left us, which caused the first ever pause in the then weekly schedule of this podcast. Today I will take my mother to the place where his ashes are scattered here on the Sussex Downs. I miss you, John. Next, I wanted to give you advance notice that the episode after we reach the end of part 2 of the story, which is due to be episode 231 or 232 at the moment, will be devoted to reactions to the graphic novel so far, as well as any other items of interest that come up. The reason for the uncertainty is that I may have to cover chapter 18 of the graphic novel, which is very long, over 2 episodes. If you have something you'd like to contribute, now is the time to begin thinking about what you would like to say. I'm happy to receive contributions in the form of sound files or text that I can read out. The email is in the notes. Lastly, we only need 23 more signatures to get the petition to put Fiverr on the Fiverr to 100 signatures. Just as a reminder, this is a fun petition following the announcement that British notes will no longer have famous people on them, as we apparently can no longer agree who is deserving of this honour. Instead, images of British wildlife will be used. Well, speaking personally, I think the new £5 note should have a rabbit on it, more specifically a small one with a nervous look about him, whose name just happens to be the same as the nickname for that banknote here in the UK. The link will also be in the notes. Anyway, let's get back to the graphic novel, where Kihar is about to return with news. The graphic novel, Chapter 17, Far Afield. Chapter 17 of the graphic novel has 9 pages and covers the last 5 pages of Chapter 23 of the original novel, Kihar, meaning that this chapter tells this part of the story in 4 pages more than the original. Hazel and Fiverr are asleep. Hazel wakes up and goes outside, rapidly followed by Fiverr, who joins Hazel as he looks into the distance. Hazel says it's been days and wonders if Kihar is coming back. Fiverr reassures him that he will. And then, in a series of 3 frames, we see Kihar return in the distance. Bigwig exclaims excitedly that he's back as he lands among a crowd of the rabbits. He is greeted by Hazel and Bigwig, and Hazel tells Pipkin and Acorn to get him something to eat. We see Kihar eating insects, and then he starts to speak. In his heavily accented, whatever language it is, he says that at first he found no other rabbits. The picture of him flying indicates him exploring along the ridge of the downland scarp slope. Then he says he looked at the farm, which we know to be Nuthanger, in an aerial view. There we see Lucy with her father and 2 white domesticated rabbits with black ears. These would be Boxwood and Haystack, the 2 Himalayan rabbits we meet later. They are by the granary store on saddle stones that can still be seen from the entrance to the real Nuthanger farm in the YouTube version of episode 207 of this podcast. By saying what he saw, Kihar teaches Hazel about domesticated rabbits, a new idea to him apparently. He adds that they live in boxes and men bring them food, by which he presumably means humans. We see these rabbits behind chicken wire in a hutch. Hazel says this doesn't help them, but Kihar has more to say. Having gone the short distance north to Nuthanger, he then flew south to a river and an iron road. There he found a town, as he called it, of many rabbits. Bigwig and Holly established details in true Owsler fashion. The warren is on the north side of the river. Kihar reckons it would take 2 or 3 days for rabbits to get there. He finishes by saying he will be eating plenty beetle the next day. Then he will guide them there. We see the entrance to the warren on Watership Down in the beach hangar. It is evening. Below ground, in the honeycomb, a conversation is underway. Holly is in the middle of making a point about not being able to take the new warren by force if it is big. This may be a reflection of the kind of Owsler he was used to being a part of back in the day. In any case, Hazel says he doesn't want to join another warren, and Bigwig agrees. Holly adds that if the warren is as large as Keehar says, it may be overcrowded. The chief there may welcome some rabbits leaving. So Hazel proposes an expedition to this warren. He will take 3 rabbits with him. Fiver agrees with this number, but says Hazel mustn't go. A chief rabbit mustn't be seen to be running his own errands. Blackberry agrees. Reluctantly, Hazel agrees. Instead, he proposes Holly to lead the expedition. He is experienced in travelling in the open and will be able to speak well at the new warren. He says he wants Holly to take Silver, Buckthorn and Strawberry with him. Bigwig immediately objects. Blackberry, somewhat undiplomatically, suggests that Bigwig has a tendency to quarrel in strange company and is a bit hot-headed. We see movement lines around Bigwig's head as he looks suddenly at Blackberry, saying angrily who asked for his opinion. But the point is kind of made. Hazel takes a gentler approach, reminding Bigwig that he needs to stay with Keehar, who respects him, which Bigwig accepts immediately. Holly closes by saying it's settled. They will leave at first light. We see the beach hangar under a half moon at night. Then at dawn. Keehar tells the 4 rabbits of the expedition that he will fly out later to make sure they are heading in the right direction. And with that, we see Holly, Silver, Buckthorn and Strawberry leave the down, heading south towards the new warren. Comparison with the book. In this version, Fiver's strange sentence in the novel about the blessings of Elachera as they wait for Keehar to return is left out. Keehar seems more patient in his explanations than in the novel, though it is very summarised, with the visuals doing a lot of the work. Here, the possibility of taking the new warren by force is said by Holly rather than Bigwig. Finally, the possibility of everyone going on the expedition is not mentioned. However, the awkward subject of Bigwig's unsuitability for the expedition is actually portrayed in this version, rather than just being reported in the narrative. Next time, we visit Nuthanger Farm.